Yeah, g'day and welcome back. Some of you took a guess last week of what new machine I'd got. Well, as you can see, it's a Schaublin 125-CNC, and I guess that makes Vincent Gutman's guess the best guess. Good one, Vincent.
Flashback.
My mate Jörg, who's also got the Schaublin 125-CCN, put me onto this advertisement on Ricardo, which is like the Swiss version of eBay. I couldn't resist, could I? It looks like new, huh? Very little wear, a wee bit of paint damage. Paint seems original. Nothing obvious wrong with it. Unfortunately, no tailstock. No accessories. But hey, you only live once, huh? In the week before it arrives, I better clean out some space for it in the garage. The Maho's been sitting in the middle of the garage on blocks. It's about time it moves out of the way, makes some space for a new friend there. And to make that work, I'm going to need to move the grinding bench, which is down on the left-hand side there, and also move the klaxon out from behind it. Starting in the woodshop, I've got a pigsty mess here and here.
3 days later.
Now, with the sort of radical throw out everything cleanup that would make my sister proud, I've gained an extra probably 3 or 4 square meters over in this corner, and it's always going to be a dirty, dusty room with the wood shop and painting and stuff, so I think I might actually move the grinders in here as well. I think the sandblaster should go quite well there, because just on the other side of this wall is the compressor. I couldn't bring myself to throw away all of the timber and wood I had. I just kept all the nicest pieces. Not sure what's in this box. There's some vanes, turbine nozzle, is that from, I'm guessing, Pratt, a G90 high pressure turbine blade, not sure what they're out of. Oh, that's definitely Pratt from the part number. It's the cylinder head from a T-lid aircraft engine. I was actually just going to chop it up and use the aluminium for casting. Well, there's no time like the present. Hey Nico, why are your overalls on back to front?
Trust me, I'm an engineer.
What the hell are you doing here? Why would you do that?
So I can melt it.
Aircraft parts.
Guess I can take those back to work for the show and tell shelf. Now with that sandblaster bench out of the way, and also moving the klaxon, I was able to get my new pallet jack under the Maho and move it back to the back corner of the garage, so that frees up a whole bunch of space.
1 nap later.
As my driveway's got the grass strip down the middle of it, and the 2 paved bits either side are probably not wide enough to conveniently bring the machine down, I've set up a ramp in the middle out of wood, as you can see. It's a big high-ab truck, 28 tons, so I'm hoping that it's got a nice long crane on it. When the truck's gone, I'll drive the car into the top of the driveway, use the tow bar of the car to put a chain hoist against to control the speed as I slowly bring the machine down this ramp.
The next day.
Well, we've got it this far, but to get at the last bit, under here, I'm going to have to take the control cabinet off it.
Oh, yeah.
That was good. It's just running just enough on the... Oh, it does go down smoothly, you don't have to go fast.
Yes, but I'm...
Oh, now it's good. Okay, cool.
Several song-filled hours later.
Now I know that buying something like this, sight unseen, off the internet, from another country, from someone you've never met before, is probably an unacceptable risk for most people, but you know, the initial communications with Mr. W, who sold it, he seemed like a really fine, upstanding gentleman. Excellent communications, everything went totally smoothly. Can't say anything bad about the entire experience. Very happy to get it here. An early 1980s Schaublin lathe. Now if you like this and want to see more videos on the Schaublin, please hit the like button below. This way, let's train the algorithm to push Schaublin videos, shall we? Let's do a quick run through it. So, spindle is a D13 cam lock. The max diameter it can swing is given as 270 millimeters, which is about roughly 10 inches. The bed's got nice chunky flat ways, 200 millimeters, about 8 inches. So the distance between centres, well, that's a bit awkward. I don't have a tailstock, so I really don't know. The bed itself is just a shade under 3 feet, 2'11". I think according to the manual it gives a Z travel of only 350 millimeters under CNC control. I'll have to see whether that's a mechanical limit due to the way they've set up the ball screw. It looks like the cross slide should be able to travel an easy 500 millimeters or so. Roughly we're talking a 10 by 20 lathe. It was always clear that the controller would need a replacement, but the three areas I was most concerned about buying a lathe like this sight unseen were the condition of the ways and the bed, the condition of the spindle and its bearings, and the condition of the ball screws. So let's take a quick look at them. Now most of you are probably saying, man, buying a lathe sight unseen over the internet, that's crazy, huh? The ways are hardened and ground, and I was worried about rust, but there's none on here at all. There's a wee bit of discoloration from where the saddle's been sitting down here, but otherwise, yeah, it looks almost perfect. So zeroing out here at the very end of the bed, see what the wear is. So here we are in about the middle of the bed. Okay, it looks like I've got about 11 microns of wear at this location. I'll come back and do more accurate measurements later, but so far it's looking pretty good. This is the cross slide directly in front of the spindle, and it appears that it's never had a chuck run into its cross slide, which is pretty darn awesome, huh? So the apron carries the ball nut, I guess, for the Z-axis, but it's also an oil tank with a manual oiler. I was really hoping to get a lathe with a cam lock. I can't really tell what the bearings are like at this stage because you can't really turn the shaft by hand. That's back driving a gearbox. It's either 1-to-1 or 1-to-6. I think I'm probably in the 1-to-6 setting at this stage. And then there's a Vario drive down onto the electric motor. I'll have to get power on it to be able to check out the spindle. There seems to be a little bit of wear on the taper, at least some polishing, but the collet taper looks immaculate. Often these small high precision lathes like Hardings and stuff are only ever run with collets, and you quite often find they end up with like 3 lobes of wear where the collet's always aligned, but in this case it doesn't appear to have any of that. So once I get it out of back gear, it'll be interesting to put a clock on here and just see what the run out is. The third major area that probably worried me the most was the ball screws, because these sort of things can get expensive really fast. But pushing back the covers. It's not rusty, it's been well lubricated, so that's a good sign. Huh? May still have wear on it, we'll see once we get to that point, but at least it's not obviously buggered up. This lathe came out in 1977. Now I obviously don't have any intention of sticking with this old controller, but I mean, let's be honest, how cool is that? Just out of pure masochism, I think I will at least try and get it running under this controller. Just have a play with it, basically. At the very least, I would like to make a video explaining the usage of this controller, just kind of as a historic document to put onto YouTube for posterity. Let's take a look at the Z-axis motor. I think the axis drive motors are DC servos with resolvers. Hopefully this model's got a tooth belt driving the ball screw, 1-to-1. The very earliest ones had a little gear train in there. Kind of not ideal if you want to retrofit. Now this control cabinet is absolutely enormous. Luckily the original key was still with it, but I guess it had to be because each of these big DC driver electronics for the motors is enormous. Beautifully made aluminium racks and stuff, well marked. One thing I find quite interesting for a machine from this generation is that they were already using tie wraps to hold all the electrics into position. I didn't realize tie wraps had even been invented back in 1977. I kind of expected to see something more like thread lacing or so. Quite amazed at how clean the whole control cabinet is as well. There's this huge transformer here. It's a 3-phase transformer, 400 volts in, and it's got taps up as far as 550 volts out. So this booklet's in there. Oh, that's pretty cute. People obviously obeyed that instruction. Input, output. Someone checked the electronics in 1981. Looks like Mr. Herbert. Just before Christmas 1981, Mr. Rohrbeyer also did something. Well, it's not exactly the most detailed of maintenance logs I've ever seen, but hey, it's kind of cute that it's still with the machine. Cool, the door also holds an Easter egg, a set of wiring diagrams. I love the quality of this handmade drafting. Mr. Babst was a real artist. I'm really glad that the tool change revolver is still installed. Basically it's this whole module here. It's pneumatically actuated. Do a manual change by lifting this once air's on. And the whole thing is supposed to come off quite easily. It rotates to 4 positions and can take a total of 8 tools, 4 on the dovetails and 4 in the bores. There's like special holders which have a hole in them, so you can fit both a dovetail tool and like a drill or something at the same time. It's also nice that this rear mounted cutoff tool post's still with it. Looks beautifully made and ground, but I guess, yeah, Schaublin never made junk, huh? It is missing the adjustment screw. It's kind of like a Gibbs screw sort of design, which should push on there just to set the forward and aft movement. But that'll be easy enough to make. This dent in the cover seems to be the only obvious damage I could see. Coming around to the back of the headstock, you can see that the collet drop tube is also installed, which is another really nice thing to have. Now I just need to find a set of B32 collets. When you buy old machines like this, I always find it fascinating to see what the bycatch is. In this case, I did get the spindle nose protector, which just pops over there, so when you're using collets, keeps the spindle from getting damaged. But I also got a second spindle nose protector, which is obviously not for this model. I'm guessing it's probably for a Schaublin 102 or 120 VM or one of those sort of things. If anyone can identify it, please give me a note in the comments section below. I've got this Morse number 4 between centers boring bar. Looks like it takes TCMT inserts. It's got some sort of a micro vernier sort of style adjuster there by the looks of it. Very nicely made. Although I'm not even sure if you can fit a number 4 Morse taper into B32 collets, so I'm not sure if it can even be made to fit this machine. So next up from the bycatch is this expanding mandrel. About 20 centimeters. So you probably support it with a center on the back. But once again, it's not for this machine. That looks like a W25 collet. So once again, I'm pretty sure this expanding mandrel goes for a Schaublin 102 or 120. We've got these two beasts. Once again, they're mandrels, over 5 centimeters, over 2-inch diameter. I guess you'd need to make up the matching taper and press it in place with the tailstock, which I don't have. Very specialized tools. Looks like 55 millimeters on the second one. Very nicely made, but probably no use to me. Last but not least, we've got lights. This is the one that actually belongs to the Schaublin. It's not looking in great shape, but nothing can't be repaired. I'll probably switch that over to LED lighting, I guess. There's a mount pad for this on the back of the machine base. The second one here is a grey one. It's the same model otherwise, apart from the colour. So it also will connect directly onto the back of the machine. Pretty cool light. I'll probably mount this somewhere else, maybe on some other machine. So what's the plan of action? I need to put a plug onto its cable, get some power to it, see what works, what doesn't. Maybe I can get some life into it. But I think we'll leave that for next week. So there we have it, my dream lathe, my dream project. Fantastic mechanicals with the need for a new controller. Watch this space. Thanks for watching.